Okay, here we go again. If you're looking for an FDM printer, this video serves as my summary of what we've had over the last year, and the idea is to help you narrow down the best picks. I've got separate reviews of all the printers mentioned here. This is just a whistle-stop tour to bring you up to date on the brands and options available right now and which ones suit which type of user. It's a bit weird with FDM. With resin, I just start small and move up in size. I'll try and do the same here, but with FDM, we don't just have clear size categories. There are so many ancillary features to consider, color changing being the main one, and then the method of color changing being a subset of that. So I'll do my best to make this make sense. This isn't a technical deep dive, it's aimed at people who, like me, just want a printer that prints. I don't often care how they work or the nuances of one extruder versus the next, just a simple every person approach. The view of, I want a printer, I want to spend X amount of money, what's the best printer I can get for that amount? And if that's what you want, hi, I'm Ross, and this is Fohammer Videos. So, to start off, I'm going to throw out the Bambu A1 Mini. At 150 quid, or your local equivalent without an AMS, this is an incredibly premium way to start your 3D printing journey. For a long time, Bambu were in a league of their own because they made 3D printing much more approachable. Off the back of that success, they've built a whole platform of 3D printers and ancillary features, such as Maker World, which easily allow you, the user, to grab designs, chuck them in a slicer, and click print, and you can buy all your materials and add-ons all within the one platform. But since I invoked the name of Bambu up front, you won't need to go far in my comment section before you see someone screaming about how Bambu is locked down and anti-consumer. And just so you know what that means, it basically forces you to use Bambu's slicer to work with Bambu printers, unless you enable LAN only mode, kind of like developer mode on Android phones, but not quite. You're not restricted from printing anything from anywhere, you can still pull files in from external sources. But even as a devout fanboy myself, and yes, I'm a huge Bambu fan, I've got to say that this change, along with some of their more recent machines, has worn down the shine on the brand, especially with how close other brands are coming to emulate them. Sorry, anyway, this wasn't meant to be a pro-Bambu versus anti-Bambu sermon, but the 3D printing landscape is still such that I feel I need to reason out all my comments on the brand as fast as possible, because it's still quite an inflammatory topic and probably will be for a while to come. The TLDR is, as an average user, Bambu machines are solid. The A1 Mini is fantastic and a cost-effective starting point that no other brand even comes close to features-wise. The average user probably won't care about the brand's politics, but instead will see the platform as a fantastic and useful springboard because of how easy it makes things. I love the Mini so much, I've gifted it to my 10-year-old daughter for a video we'll be making soon. It's hers to keep, and yes, I talked to her about safety for weeks before I did a full handover. The problem with the A1 Mini though is that it's small, and therefore it can be restrictive. The bigger machine is the Bambu A1. The 256mm cube build volume has now become a standard that even other brands have directly copied them. More on those brands shortly. The thing about this being considered the standard size is that the designers creating models already have this size constraint in mind. There are thousands of models out there on various platforms, with the usual suspects being Bambu's Maker World or Prusa's printables. Honestly, if you're watching this video thinking Thingiverse is still a place people go for models, yeah, sorry, that was 2010. But yeah, with people making models to these dimensional limits, you won't feel restricted at all with something like an A1 unless you want to push for things like cosplay helmets. And these types of printer we're talking about now are called bedslingers because they throw the bed back and forth while printing. They are a little slower so that prints remain stable, and all of the mechanics along with the print are open and exposed. This means they're not quite as safe for little ones and pets, and if you're new, you should be aware that environment also plays a big part in 3D printing. Typical users will print with easy-to-use materials like PLA, but some may want to print with stronger stuff, like ABS. Very few people, especially beginners, realise that plastics absorb moisture in the air, which can make them brittle or cause problems during prints, like blobs, where moisture in the filament builds up in the nozzle and then pops out as it extrudes. So that's something to be aware of with these systems. You can buy third-party accessories to dry filament out between prints, but that's a whole different thing. Just something to be aware of with these Bambu machines that have an external AMS and the filaments are out in the open. So sticking with bedslingers, a comparable model is the Kobra 3, and this is a perfect example of a mid-tier brand. Anycubic released the Kobra 3 and then pretty much immediately, well about a year later, created the V2. And what the V2 does is fix issues from their first version. That kind of thing really shows what these mid-tier brands are like in terms of long-term support. Bambu, for example, hasn't changed the A1 since launch, and that came out long before the original Kobra 3, but with Anycubic, we've had the Kobra 3 and we already have a revised version to sort issues out with the first. Now that's not to say these should be dismissed, there are benefits over the A1. The build area, however, is slightly smaller. The Kobra 3 is only 250mm squared and the V2 is 255mm, but both have a build height of 260. The main benefits are the price and Anycubic's equivalent to the AMS Lite unit, the ACE. Where Bambu's AMS Lite units are exposed to the elements, Anycubic at least have an enclosed chamber, staving off moisture a little longer. And these also have heaters in them and can act as filament dryers. However, as standard, they don't vent that moisture, it just stays trapped in the unit. And when it comes to these printers, again, they're mid-tier. You could get a good one, you could get a bad one. I doubt it's 50-50, but with the mid-tier brands, they're cheap. I think I summed this up well in my review of the Kobra V2. Some brands are like Makita in Milwaukee. This is a Bosch, and people still buy Bosch. Fair enough, does the job. Now the brand I really wish would get out of its own way, but still sits in this same category, is Creality. The High is a direct competitor to these bedslingers. It's got some great features. The colour changer, the CFS is solid, and in some ways it's even better than Bambu's first AMS. And there's also an RFID reader on the side of the machine that can read Creality's spools without an AMS, or sorry, CFS. I wish we could pick an acronym for all of them. And the slightly larger build volume of 260mm cubed means all of the models that were made for other brands will fit here with room to spare. But then there are daft things like the UI, cable placement that's begging to be caught in its own top frame, and the brand forgetting important usability elements they delivered on earlier machines, like easily replaceable nozzles or accessible extruder gears. And then there's the slicer. All the other brands have taken Orca, rebranded it, and added some elements specific to their hardware. Creality ruined Orca. Now thankfully you can in most cases just use base Orca, but this is a perfect example of how much Creality are screwing themselves over. That and a wild array of printers that just go beyond the realm of understandable to outright confusing. Again, Creality, I think you really need to focus on delivering a few solidly functional printers. I want to love Creality machines more. My first ever FDM printer experience was with a Creality, so they hold a special place in my heart. But every time I use one, they remind me of their own squandered potential. Now, when it comes to bedslingers, and this is why I said we're going to be jumping around a bit, there's one I want to point out, the Kobra 3 Max. This one stands out mostly because it's one of the only massively large format printers I've actually had fun with. Again though, the quality is poorer than your top tier brands. I had issues with mine. The mechanism moving would shift some screws loose, and official support for things like different nozzle sizes is non-existent when a printer this size is screaming out for a 0.6 or a 0.8mm nozzle. But it stands out because right now it's the only large format printer available that actually has modern features like ACE support. It's janky, it's cheap, but if you want in big prints, it can work, and yeah, it's incredibly fun. Now another bedslinger to mention is the Prusa Mark 4S, and how do I explain Prusas without making excuses? Look, Prusa is a brand I absolutely love. Their style, their ethos, how Prusa are responsible for so many cool advancements in this industry. But when it comes to their printers themselves, honestly, I am struggling. The Mark IV is a bedslinger with a small to mid-range print volume, an asymmetrical print bed of only 250 by 210mm, and a height of 220. It's got none of the modern features that general consumers love and other brands commonly have. No built-in webcam, no nozzle wiper, even the UI is archaic, and the slicer doesn't have the intuitiveness of Orca, even though it's technically Orca's grandparent. Now in my experience, print quality was fantastic. It's just not so fantastic that I can genuinely justify it when it's 3 to 5 times the price of other larger machines before shipping. This is the sort of printer you buy when the most important thing to you is longevity and brand support. But honestly, and I know I talked about e-waste in my resin video, this industry is advancing far too fast for that to matter to many people. Already, the Mark IVS feels outdated, and I've got to be honest, so does the... Alright, I'll come back to the Core one shortly. Okay, next, we've got semi-enclosed 3D printers. I'd say CoreXY, but not all of them are technically CoreXY. These are machines where the bed doesn't move back and forth, but sometimes goes up and down. If you can easily explain the difference between a CoreXY and a non-CoreXY along with the benefits, please pop that down in the comments. I'm sure many viewers would like to get the understanding. Anyway, first up, sort of, is the Bambu P1P. This is as basic as it gets, but it has the reliability and platform of a Bambu, along with the enclosed work area thanks to its CoreXY system. The letdown is the UI. It's got a monochrome screen that you'll never use beyond setup because there are no clever advanced features in it. It is compatible with Bambu's AMS or newer AMS2, which is the one with a heater in it, but let's not waste time because chances are by the time you see this, you can't get them anymore, and we don't know if this line is being replaced with a P2 variant. Another open machine I tested, although an enclosure kit is available, is the FlashForge AD5X. Now unfortunately, the print volume drops down again to only 220mm cubed. Small. Instead of an enclosed AMS type system, the material change system is a body mounted buffer with reels stuck on the side. Like the AMS Lite, they're exposed to the elements. Now with FlashForge, there's nothing exciting, there's no wow on price, no amazing features. The software, like so many others, is just another Orca clone. The UI can be hit or miss when simply pressing buttons, but when it comes to printing, the ones I've tested, the FlashForge machines I've tested, and the noise I hear from other users of these machines echo the same. They are reliable. They're not wow, but they are fair and solid, and as I said in my resin video, that doesn't generate excitement and therefore sales, because we only find out about this reliability stuff months after release, and by that time there's 3 new printers out from other brands. If you're looking for a solid, reliable workhorse and this has got the features you want, there's nothing wrong with it. I can't fault it. This is kind of bottom of the top tier. Anyway, another machine I tested this year was my first Delta, the FLSUN T1 Max. Max, even though it's smaller than their flagship S1, but whatever. These are different. Circular bed, alien tripod mechanics, no blower in the tool head and that reduces weight, and they're more technical powerhouses than everyday workhorses. But bloody hell are they fast. Genuinely, if speed is all you care about, this is your machine. But moving on, I want to talk briefly about Sovol. In size order, the Zero, the SV08 and the SV08 Max. I've likened these to Chinese Prusa. They're based on the open Voron platforms, and the brand is very clear about what they are. And what they are is a tinkerer's machine. I said this in my early Sovol videos and experienced it firsthand reviewing the Max. If you'd rather get into the hobby of printers more than just printing, this is probably a better place to start from than building your own Voron from scratch. Similar to how Prusa operates, but with worse out-of-the-box profiles and poorer support and communication, but at a much lower price. And now we get to the meat of the video, the most desirable style of 3D printer, the enclosed machine. Now first up, the Centauri Carbon. Basic as it gets. This isn't going to wow anyone, and at the time of recording we still don't know if a colour change system is coming, yet we've already seen promo images for the Centauri Carbon 2 with a built-in side-mounted colour changer and buffer, similar to the FlashForge AD5X. But again, this is Elegoo, a mid-tier brand, who are replacing their key product, the Centauri Carbon, within a year, before finishing the expected and I think promised add-ons for the first one. But generally, the Centauri Carbon is a solid, enclosed CoreXY printer for the price. These have been flying off the shelves and they'll continue to do so. I've talked a lot about colour changes in this video, but honestly, beyond the initial wow factor, the process wastes so much time and material that most people soon realise it's more of a gimmick. The reason I like material loaders, and genuinely I've said this for I think well over a year now, is less about multicolour prints and more about the convenience of automated loading. From the comments I've read, that's actually what most people care about too, because of the costs of waste in colour printing. So if you're willing to accept and you're happy to print in one colour, and you're happy to manually load and just want a machine that works at the lowest possible price, the Centauri Carbon will appeal, and they also copied Bambu's bed size directly. Then we come onto the S1. I'd say this is on par in terms of quality. I did have a few issues with mine during testing, but as commenters have confirmed, these are now resolved with software updates, and it's nice to see Anycubic put focus on improving their machines after release. This one already has a multi-material system, the aforementioned ACE, so again, budget, but what you'd expect from budget hardware. It gets the job done at a lower price. Speaking of which, we've got Creality. They've got so many machines, it's overwhelming, to the point of buyer ignorance. Now I'll focus on their recent ones, and at the time of recording this video, I haven't yet had hands-on with the K2 or K2 Pro. They are on their way, and I'll have reviews very soon. But I have had a K2 Plus, and I have to say, I actually liked it. And yeah, I'm jumping up in size here because the build volume is 350mm cubed. That rivals even Bambu's H2 printers, whilst pretty much matching the footprint. When it comes to quality, Creality is once again on the budget side of machines, maybe the top end of mid-tier, but still mid-tier. If size is what you're after, or you're looking to farm prints, this is probably the best you'll get in terms of balance versus quality. Now things get muddy with Bambu right now. As I write this, I'm about to go on holiday and I can't crack the P2S out of the box until I'm back. By the time you watch this, my review might be out, but anyway, it's crazy how YouTube timing works. Anyway, by the time you see this, the P1S and P1P will likely be gone, sold out. The P2S at this point looks like a solid upgrade that makes the X1 Carbon obsolete. So at this point, I'd say check out my review of the P2S as soon as it's live, again depending on schedule. But before I move on to my favourite printers currently available, I need to come back to Prusa. The aforementioned Core 1 is based on the i3 range of printers. That's everything before the Mark IVS and what came before it. Now I mentioned earlier, this is great, but it limits the brand's growth. It's great because people can upgrade their old printers to the new Core 1, but it's limiting because the print area stays locked to that legacy size, lower than most of the competition. Couple that with the lack of modern features like a camera, chamber heater or nozzle wiper, and whilst it probably is the sexiest looking printer in my opinion, it is made from sheet metal, acrylic and 3D printed parts. You really need to love Prusa and what they stand for to consider this one against most modern machines, at least for the average home user. Everything about these machines seems to come from Prusa wanting to stay relevant in an enclosed CoreXY market while still designing printers for their own print farm first, rather than what the end user wants. And there's also the XL, which was the first machine on the market with multiple tool heads. But even in my testing, this felt more like an experiment I got to be part of rather than a complete consumer device. And that's where Snapmaker come in. And to sum this up, they took most of what made Bambu popular, completely stole Prusa's idea of multi-tool head, sprinkled in some community requests like open platform, or at least they've promised to at the point of recording this video, and they delivered a professional looking, solid multi-tool changer at a price that shocked the entire industry, especially when other brands charge far more for much less. Now I said it before, I've said it in this video, I hate colour changing, but I've hated it because of the wasted time and filament. But this wastes nearly nothing beyond a purge tower, which is at least visibly tiny compared to buckets of filament poop. And with only a small amount of time wasted, you can get full colour prints, well, up to 4 colours anyway, with hardly any waste. This was the first time colour printing actually felt worth it. After years of Bambu dominance, this is also the first brand to actually make waves. While everyone else was pissing about at Bambu's heels, Snapmaker quietly plotted in the background, and what they delivered certainly got people's attention. And how did they do it? Well, by listening to the community and delivering what people wanted. The U1 is incredible, the best printer release since Bambu's X1. It's not perfect, they've still got work to do, but I only have space for a couple of permanent printers in my workshop at any given time, and I've now got two. This and my H2. But speaking of my H2, honestly, genuinely, at the time of writing this, I have both the H2S and H2D in my office. I'm going to pick one when I get back from holiday. Now, the H2S is great, Bambu quality, Bambu platform, and bigger than anything they've made before. But gone are the equal cubes. Now it's 340 by 320 by 340, slightly smaller than Creality's K2 Plus. But again, I'm a Bambu fan. The years of reliability and innovation from this brand have won me over. And whilst it may not matter to some, these machines can also be plotters, drag cutters like a Cricut, or even laser engravers. That, though, has put some people off. It does feel a bit desperate, like they ran out of innovative ideas and just had to put something else in that nobody else had done. But genuinely, now I've used them, the plotter and cutter modules do make them multimedia powerhouses. My wife loves craft stuff, so making a hobby tool desirable to her is a smart move. I think they actually should have stuck this versatility on the smaller machines though, like the P2P. And from what I've seen so far, this functionality isn't there. But honestly, I think the H2S is probably going to be the most desirable large format Bambu printer this holiday season. Because the H2D, it's cool. This is a hybrid of the H2S and a multi-nozzle machine like the Prusa XL or Snapmaker U1, because this has two nozzles in one head. This is great for dual materials or things like dissolvable support such as PVA, but it creates limits. The usable plate area per nozzle is reduced, and it's only the central part of the bed that can use both nozzles. Genuinely, this just reduces the overall usable side of the machine because even the slicer still isn't intelligent enough to auto-orient things into either area, even though it knows what material you're printing that thing with and what material is in each nozzle. You will mostly ignore the edges of the print plate because even the slicer does. So yeah, that more often than not reduces the usable size of these machines too. And the other thing is that this is slightly slower than the H2S due to the heavier head. Oh, and if you do decide to go laser, only the H2D or above is compatible with the 40-watt laser module, but personally I think 40-watt feels like overkill on such a small work area. I think they should have just gone with a 20-watt laser and stuck with that. And they should do an infrared one too. Anyway, here we've also got the upcoming H2C. Now, I don't have it yet, but I'll stick to inferences because I'm not breaking any NDA rules since I don't have the thing. And my impressions of this are that it's different for the sake of different. The Vortex system can swap out, I think, 7 nozzles, which cuts down on wasted filament. But from what I understand at this point, and I think many of us do, you do still need to retract and refeed filament through the AMS on every single tool change. So when we compare this to other machines like the U1, we're only saving filament. We're not saving as much time. But this also has its benefits too, like more available nozzles, and I also expect Bambu will be the first to implement slicing where nozzles of different sizes are available in the same print. But the jury's still out as to what benefit that would actually have. So please check out my review of the H2C once I've got hands on with it. If you've got any thoughts, I want to hear them. You could be watching this well after it's released, and I was completely wrong. And honestly, I am a massive Bambu fan, so the H2C still probably will be the one I keep for personal use, but I'll do so knowing I feel restricted by that build volume. But there you go, that's an overview of all the FDM printers I've touched that are available now, and I hope that brings you up to speed on the market. If any tickled your fancy, I have reviews up for most of them, and links to those reviews will be in the description. Speaking of which, if you decide to buy any of this and my video was helpful, then please use my affiliate links in the description before making a purchase. I'll make a commission on the sale and it doesn't cost you more for clicking, and that's how I can fund the channel. If you've got experience with any of these machines, please drop that in the comments too, because I know viewers of this video will use the comment section to get real people's real world experiences rather than just relying on my own. I want to say thanks for watching, with a huge thanks going to our members who are on screen now. Please consider joining them to get early access, exclusive videos, your name in lights, and Discord roles. Until next time, dude, where's my car? Fohammer out.